Breaking news! Things are heating up behind the scenes with the New England Patriots, and today I've got some news that will get every fan excited. First of all, let's talk about that huge win against the Minnesota Vikings. The team showed intensity, discipline, and above all, confidence. It was the kind of game where the defense stepped up when we needed it most, and the offense executed well, showing real progress in areas fans had been demanding improvement. This wasn't just a win on the scoreboard, it was a statement that the coaching staff's work is starting to click. Now, hold on tight because the next challenge is right around the corner. The New York Giants. This matchup is going to be tough. The Giants bring an aggressive defense and a strong ground game that demands attention. For the Patriots, this is another chance to test the strength of our offensive line and see how much this offense can grow. And here's the key point. Our general manager, Elliott Wolf, is laser-focused on building a truly competitive roster. He's made it clear the goal is simple: bring the Patriots back to the Super Bowl. But at the same time, there are still some internal questions that need answers, especially when it comes to offensive adjustments and staying consistent for all 4 quarters. So, here's my message to Patriots Nation. If you believe in Wolf's plan, if you believe he's leading us back to the top, smash that like button right now and drop a comment. Go Pats! We're going to the Super Bowl, because this is the moment to believe, to support, and to stand strong with the team. What a finish that was. Patriots fans are still buzzing after the 20-12 win over the Minnesota Vikings, and not just because of the score, but because of how it all ended. With just 2 seconds left on the clock, Kyle Duggar came up with the interception to seal the game, a play that sent the sideline into chaos and the fans into celebration. But as much as that moment was electrifying, it's not the only storyline that came out of this game. The truth is, this preseason matchup gave us a glimpse of what could define the 2025 Patriots roster, and it has everything to do with emerging stars, surprise performances, and some very tough roster decisions that will have to be made soon. Let's start with what had fans leaning forward in their seats all night. TreVeyon Henderson. Every single week, it feels like this kid is rewriting his story with the Patriots. He's fast, agile, quick, sure, we knew all that. But what stood out in this game wasn't just his explosiveness, it was his strength. On just 4 carries for 20 yards, he showed why he's different. His touchdown run was pure power and patience. He waited for the hole, hit it, then dragged 2 defenders into the end zone for an 8-yard score. That's the type of run that makes you sit back and say, this guy is a dog. And here's the kicker. He did this while Rhamondre Stevenson was sidelined with an injury. We still don't know the full extent of Stevenson's situation because Mike Vrabel is keeping everything under wraps, insisting it's short term. But watching Henderson, you couldn't help but think, is this the beginning of a changing of the guard at running back? Patriots fans, it feels like Henderson is already forcing that conversation. Then there's Efton Chisholm, and honestly, what more can you say about this guy? 2 straight weeks, 2 straight statement games. Against Minnesota, he hauled in 6 catches for 71 yards and a touchdown. Last week, it was 6 catches for 50 yards and another touchdown. If you were listening to Scott Zolak on the broadcast, you heard him say it in real time after Chisholm scored. He just made the team. And maybe the biggest clue of all came in the 4th quarter, when he didn't play. That's right, the Patriots kept him out, likely because they already know what they've got. They didn't want to risk him the way they lost Lon Larison last week with a season-ending foot injury. The comparison that's already being thrown around is Julian Edelman or Wes Welker, another small but scrappy, fearless slot receiver who just gets it done. At 5 feet 10 inches and 190 pounds, Chisholm isn't the biggest, but he plays bigger than he looks, and he's quickly becoming the name fans are rallying around. And let's not forget about Alex Austin, the cornerback who might be one of the quietest but most important risers of this preseason. With DJ James sidelined due to injury, Austin got his chance and absolutely made the most of it. He was targeted 4 times and didn't give up a single catch. Instead, he walked away with an interception. Add his size, 6 feet 1 inch, and the fact that this secondary needs reliable depth behind Christian Gonzalez and Carlton Davis. And suddenly you realize Austin may have just forced his way into a meaningful role. Speaking of Davis, his pass breakup on a key 3rd and 2 was the kind of veteran play that gets you fired up thinking about what this secondary can look like when the season officially kicks off. But not everything was perfect. Every big win has its winners, and it has its losers. And if we're being honest, one of the biggest concerns right now has to be Kyle Duggar. Yes, he made the game-sealing interception, but context matters. The fact that he was still on the field in the fourth quarter of a preseason game is alarming. This is a guy who was once viewed as a defensive cornerstone, even a captain. Yet here he was, playing late in a meaningless game while players like Chisholm were sitting safely on the bench. That doesn't happen by accident. It tells you exactly how the coaching staff feels about his spot on the roster, and right now, that spot looks shaky. Cutting him would create a dead cap hit of around $14 million and only save about $1 million in actual cap space, so the financials make it complicated. But if the Patriots were truly sold on him, he wouldn't have been out there. And then there's the kicking battle. It looked ugly for rookie Andy Borgales against Minnesota. He missed badly from 56 yards, nowhere close. Compare that to John Parker Romo, who nailed a 57-yarder the week before, and you start to see where this competition is leaning. Sure, Borgales did make a 51-yarder, but it barely snuck through, and right now it feels like Romo is pulling ahead. The Patriots have been clear. It doesn't matter where you were drafted, the job goes to whoever performs best. And so far, that looks like Romo. This game also raised questions about the depth at wide receiver. Kendrick Bourne's name is being mentioned as a possible cut. Jalen Polk might be on the bubble too. Javon Baker, despite looking good in camp, hasn't translated that into preseason production. The Patriots have to make tough calls, and it looks like some familiar faces could be on the chopping block to make room for players like Chisholm. And we can't end without mentioning Anthony Jennings. 3 sacks in the game should be a big headline for him, but the reality is, this might just be an audition tape for another team. He was playing late into the fourth quarter, just like Duggar, which usually means the front office doesn't see him fitting into the long-term picture. That's tough, because Jennings has shown flashes, but the defensive line is crowded, and there might simply not be enough space for him here. Patriots fans, this game wasn't just a win, it was a message. Henderson is here and ready to take over. Chisholm might be the next great slot receiver in Foxborough. Austin is quietly locking down his spot in the secondary. At the same time, Duggar's future is clouded. Borgales may have just kicked his way off the roster, and Jennings could be showcasing himself for another team. The preseason is about figuring out who belongs, and last night made that picture a whole lot clearer. Now here's the question for you. Do you believe Tre'Veyon Henderson should be the starter in Week 1 against the Raiders? And do you think the Patriots should move on from Kyle Duggar, or give him one more chance to prove himself? Drop your thoughts in the comments, because this debate is only just getting started. And as much as last night's win gave us answers, it also left the Patriots fan base with a swirl of new questions about this roster, about this coaching staff, and about what exactly this team is going to look like when the regular season kicks off against the Raiders. That's the beauty and the curse of preseason football. You see the flashes, you see the potential, but you also see the cracks. And when the clock hit 0 against Minnesota, we were left with both. Take the quarterback situation, for example. We only saw a glimpse of Drake Maye, but the flashes were enough to remind fans why there's excitement around him. One of the best throws of the night came on that deep ball to Matt Collins, a perfectly placed pass that showed off Maye's touch and confidence. Collins himself deserves some credit here too, because he turned in a sneaky strong performance with 3 catches, averaging around 13.5 yards per reception, including that toe-tap sideline grab. He's not going to be a headliner in every game, but he's proving he can be a reliable target and a piece in this offense. And let's not overlook the offensive line, because if you were paying attention during the joint practices leading up to this game, you know that Will Campbell was getting bullied by Minnesota's Rhamondre. It was rough, but when the lights came on in the game, Campbell held his ground.